the glorious waters of Taranto host the Italy Sail Grand Prix. There are new faces and old rivalries that will play out here in southern Italy for the 8 elite teams. Battle scars are repaired, and revenge is on the cards.
3, 2, 1. Here we go. Keep going. Come on! Hurry up, boys. Come on.
I love this shot.
And we welcome you to the port city of Taranto, the host for Event 2 of SailGP's second season. There are the 3 scheduled races on the day, with activity on the dock, which has been underway since first light, preparing these amazing boats for the day's battle on the Mediterranean. Today, the quest begins for the maximum points and an overall win here at the first Italy Sail Grand Prix. Alongside Stevie Morris and Freddie Carr and Ali Vance, I'm Todd Harris. Light wind seems to be the order of the day, but as we've seen during practice sessions, these F-50s are capable of sailing at nearly 3 times the wind speed. After one event, the standings look like this. Great Britain took top honors in Bermuda just weeks ago ahead of Australia and France, who made it into the podium race. For Spain, New Zealand, and Denmark, really a mixed bag. But the big story coming out of Bermuda, other than Great Britain getting the win, was Japan and the United States. Both favorites coming in. Japan was the runner-ups last year in the 2020 season of Sail Grand Prix, but they got together with the United States, and things looked awfully bad out on the Great Sound. The final day of racing has arrived as we welcome you to the Bermuda Sail Grand Prix.
Boats turn down for the line, it's tight at the gun. Australia, Great Britain and Japan break the line even. It's a sprint now as we blast towards mark number 1. We've got a big issue in the middle of the fleet here. Nathan Outteridge, very late to manoeuvre, and he's collided with the US crew. This is a big moment on board here. The Japanese boat on board the American boat.
Obviously some pretty significant damage, so we're going to have to build the list, speak to the tech team and the organisation and try and get the boat race ready for Italy.
To fix it if we were going to race next weekend, it's going to take a while to get these boats back together.
What we managed to do was get to a point where we were happy with the repair structurally. But it does get difficult because as soon as you get your teeth stuck into something, it's hard dropping tools and then going backwards and forwards. We set them up next to each other so you could bounce from one repair to another. The last stages of the process comes down to the detailing, the fairing and the paintwork. It often gets overlooked and maybe not thought that it's quite a crucial thing, but it actually is. It's really good that we could get it done ahead of schedule, so that means that the guys get more time on the water sailing.
Well, the crowds are in place and the atmosphere around the whole of Taranto has been really buzzing this week. The locals certainly embracing this event. Today, over 900 spectator boats are out on the water. I'm on the seawall about 200 metres from the racecourse, and actually for the first time this week, a thin layer of cloud has prevented the sea breeze from really filling in. So we've got light conditions today. The wind forecast around about 15 kilometres an hour. It doesn't feel quite that strong at the moment. The big news is, though, that in these light winds, the boats are down to the bare minimum crew members, just 3 people on board as opposed to the usual 5. This is the first time ever in SailGP history that these boats have raced competitively with so few crew on board. These F-50s notoriously tricky to sail with 5 people, let alone 3. So the crew's going to have to work especially hard to get them up on their foils flying.
After our first day out here, we have seen that probably we will be mainly sailing in light breeze. One of the biggest challenges in sailing in these light breezes is to manage to foil around the whole course. It takes a long while to build a parent wind and get the boat up in the sky and foiling. and it's a big penalty if you do small mistakes because they will lead you immediately to stop foiling. Flo as a wind trimmer and me need to be really coordinated because I fly the boat, I'm in charge of the height of the boat and he's in charge of the heel. And if the height changes or the boat drops or something, he has to change his heel and that impacts also the pressure on my foil, on my side's foil, and we can have a bit of snowball effect, so it's super important to be coordinated.
So with today's forecast, every onboard decision will be critical. There you see Denmark and what they will be sailing today. As Ali pointed out, just 3 crew members on board. Now, in use today is the new 24-meter wing, the biggest in the F-50 Armory, which is the light air choice. And not needed is the much smaller wing at 18 meters. But watch out later this season for the biggest of them all at 29 meters and still under development. That is the technical aspect. Right now we send it back to Ali Vance as we meet all 8 teams.
The British team took the trophy in Bermuda, but only with a stunning Day 2 comeback.
And they are going to be the winners here in Bermuda.
At the end of Day 1, they were back in 6th place, and team boss Sir Ben Ainsley was not mincing his words.
Just a shambles. Got no wing here. Talk to me, I don't know. You got it or what?
But Ainsley is unable to sail in Taranto and hands over to his former rival Paul Goodison, another star with an Olympic gold medal and 3 Moth World Championships. Australia was almost invincible in Bermuda in the first series of Season 2, until that is, the final, when they ran into the British and met their match.
We feel a little hard done by. We sailed so well all week, but those are the rules. You got to win that last race. We knew it when we signed up, and we were close, but not quite there.
An unusually humble Tom Slingsby, but don't be fooled, he's out for revenge with his all-star crew that holds 4 America's Cups, 3 Olympic medals, 4 World Championships, and of course, champions of SailGP Season 1.
Australia is the 2019 SailGP champion.
What a turnaround Bermuda was for Billy Besson and his French crew. Big disappointment since Season 1, but 3rd place getter in Bermuda, which put the first grin on Billy Besson's face that we've seen in a long time.
We are very, very happy to be on the final race.
The question, of course, is whether they can keep that up this season and how much of that turnaround in performance can be put down to their new wing trimmer, Lee McMillan, fresh from trimming the British challenger in the last America's Cup. Missing out on getting into the final in Bermuda by just 1 point was the youngest crew on Spain, as one unfortunate slip by driver Phil Robertson in the decisive 5th race ended their chances.
Whoa, Phil Robertson nearly falling overboard there, spinning the boat. Whoa, he's managed to avoid the Australians.
If Robertson can help Spain into the winning circle, drivers on the other teams who are not performing well will need to look out, because he'll be looking for a new job next season.
In 3rd place, Phil Robertson, where did he come from?
Spain planned to put Jordi Zama or Diego Botta on the helm. The Olympic Games have forced changes aboard New Zealand as Pete Burling and Blair Tuke step off the boat to prepare for the Games. The new driver Arno Sarafagis is from Switzerland, prompting questions in the intensely patriotic Kiwi sailing community about why a Kiwi isn't driving in Taranto. A poor 5th overall in Bermuda was not what the SailGP newcomers expected. Denmark began their first season in SailGP placed 6th, but they would have finished last without the help from Japan and the United States. Months of training before Bermuda didn't seem to help, as a lowly 5th was their best race placing. All the pressure is now on driver Nikolai Sehested to turn things around. What an awful result for Japan, the runners-up in Season 1 but placed 2nd last in the Season 2 opener after they crashed out and were penalised in the 4th race. And until then, they were lying 2nd overall. Many experts pick them out to be among the strong contenders this season, but they'll need to mount a big fight back in Taranto to make that appear possible. And finally, the unluckiest crew in Bermuda, the United States, who were taken out by Japan. They were in 4th place, and strong performances in race 4 and 5 would have qualified them for the 3-boat final, but of course it wasn't to be. Their series got worse when they capsized and finally were penalised at a later umpire's hearing for failing to attempt to keep clear. Let's see if anger helps them in Taranto.
Well, it's a great view of our stadium course here in Taranto, and as the final seconds count down to the start, it's about being on the foils just behind the line as the gun goes. This reach to Mark 1, the fastest course of the race. And as they turn downwind, you might expect the boats to slow down, but by sailing at angle to the wind, they can achieve speeds of up to 3 times the wind speed. Gate 2, and the boats can turn left or right on the upwind leg. They have to sail at angles of about 45 degrees because sailboats can't sail straight into the wind. Again, the crews look for the best wind, and that will vary across this race course. Through another gate of the course, and it's off downwind on leg 4. It's about finding the strongest wind and sailing the shortest course possible, while keeping to a minimum the number of turns you will have to do on this leg. As we come to gate 4, expect lighter winds. It's going to be a tricky part of the race course here, and it's the last opportunity to pick up places. The fleet will split left and right. Tactics are going to need to include staying clear of other boats, which could disturb their wind and slow them down. Then finally, gate 5, the last turning mark, and it's the final dash to the finish. No tactics, just raw speed with a short leg to the line.
Well, the high temperatures and cloudy skies have not chased away the Italians. They are very excited about Sail Grand Prix as the Italians host SailGP for the first time. A good town known for sport, as the Giro d'Italia has been here before. But the big question now is we are 2 minutes away from race number 1. Freddie Carr, how do you handle these F50s now, not with 5, but with just 3 crew members?
Todd, I have absolutely no idea, and I know that these guys are figuring it out as well. This is a 50-foot foiling boat, and all the manoeuvres are going to be done by 3 people. They've taken off the front power units. The front grinders are off the boat, the heavy units, and then between the helm, the wing trimmer and the pilot, they've got to get these boats around the course. It's going to be so hard in the manoeuvres. What we've seen from them practicing is in a straight line. The helmsman is also the pilot, but he's now not the tactician. The wing trimmer has become the tactician, and trust me, the pilot is doing everything else. He's running all over the boat.
Well, it's just fantastic to see this. These are the best sailors in the world, but we saw in Bermuda it does take 5 to sail the boat. Here we are, Paul Goodison, new helmsman on board the British boat there at the back.
There's a great example of pilot Luke Parkinson leaning forwards and also having to trim the wing for Ian Jensen.
So the entire fleet is there as we are under 1 minute away from the first Italian Sail Grand Prix. This is the second event of season number 2, with Great Britain winning the first one back in Bermuda. And just 3 crew members on board. The speeds won't be as high as what we saw in Bermuda, gentlemen, but we should be in for a very tactical, interesting race with 8 boats.
Really interesting there. The comms coming off Japan is Nathan saying we have to keep it on the foil here with 35 seconds to go. Got to keep it ripping in this light stuff. If you get below 20 kilometers an hour boat speed, you're really going to struggle.
Well, with 26 seconds out now, it's about finding a gap. The top end of the start line, towards the top of the screen for us, is the favoured place to be. 19 seconds to go. The start is crucial. The Spanish in control at the moment, Phil Robertson, who's got their timing right. Paul Goodison's looking bad out the back. Let's see. Here goes Outridge at 9 seconds to go. Is his timing good? It's going to be tight at the top of the line for Sarafagis. And here comes Australia. Slingsby flying in, but there's nowhere to go. And there we go on the gun. Early penalty, Denmark.
This is the umpires.
Good
Denmark,
start by
OCS,
Japan
Denmark,
there. Good
OCS.
start by Sarafagis.
Targets
and it's
Spain,
a
targets
sprint
Spain.
now for the boats to Mark 1, as Sarafagis and Denmark must get behind Spain before Mark number 1 to clear his penalty. Here we go. It's a drag race. That was Outridge on the back of the boat saying potential role for the Kiwis. The Kiwis to the right of the stream there, New Zealand, they have a faster angle, 50 kilometres an hour, but Outridge and Draper still managing to find 53 kilometres an hour as they head to Mark 1.
I think the Japanese are just beginning to get affected there by the Kiwis. Lovely time run by Sarafagis driving the Kiwi boat as he puts the squeeze on Nathan Outridge and gets to Mark 1 first. Lovely start by the Kiwi boys.
A lot of chatter at gate number 1, and now the big
That's
decision.
the umpires. Denmark, you have another penalty, additional penalty. You are required to get behind Spain, get behind Spain.
Denmark SailGP and Italy Sail with their second penalty in the first minute.
That's a big mistake, but that's a big decision from Outridge there. Today, in this light wind, it's all about finding wind. The more wind you find, the faster you'll go. Outridge, he's renowned as the man in these light winds at finding the best breeze. He'll be relying heavily on Draper and Morishima on the grinder there to keep the boat fast. Trying to find the better wind. It's going to be interesting when he comes back together with that New Zealand crew. Who's done best on this leg, Fred?
Yeah, the Japanese are very off by themselves on this right-hand side of the course as you look upwind. But New Zealanders and the Americans have kept it really simple as the Kiwis roll into a jibe just through the jib and the wing slot there. The Kiwis are still the lead boat. It'll be interesting to see the jibe technique here with 3 people on board. The board goes down.
Talked about a touch and go there, Outridge. It looks like he's run out of wind. This looks like a big, big loss for Outridge at this stage in the race. Sarafagis, Spithill keeping it simple, and it looks like they've done well. That's a big, big loss there, and it's all about staying on the foils at gate 2. That's Sarafagis on the helm there. Jason Saunders, wing trimmer for New Zealand. These guys are all new to the boat, Fred. That's even more impressive that at gate 2, they're in the lead.
Yeah, and you look top of picture there, the Australians are dead in the water. They have stopped moving. I wonder if they've got a technical problem that's removed them from race 1.
Freddie, I think what's important to remember is these boats, we're powered by nature. We rely on the wind to sail these boats. If you slow the boat down, you lose what we call apparent wind. That's the wind we make from our own speed, and you'll never get back on the foil. They're just sat in the water. Goodison coming in 4th place, and Outridge, it's a big loss, back to 6th.
So moving on to leg number 3 after they go through gate number 2. New Zealand, a surprising lead out front, as the gentlemen have pointed out. Arno Sarafagis has filled in for Pete Burley, the American Cup 2-time champion, doing a great job here in this race, but the USA and France 2nd and 3rd right now.
I think what's interesting here is Nathan Outridge now, he's heading back, he's taken a right turn, and he's heading towards the side of the course where the other boats gained. If you make a mistake, the key thing is not to make another one. So it's interesting, Outridge perhaps learning from his mistakes, and we can see here the boats are all struggling once they fall off the foils to get back on the foils. So manoeuvres are key. Here come the Spanish into gate number 2, but they're a long, long way behind the leading boats at this stage. Still struggling at 8 kilometres an hour. Tom Slingsby, look, it must be gear failure, surely. Hydraulic problems we're hearing from the race course at the moment. That's a big, big blow for Slingsby in race 1 here.
And this is going to be so difficult to get these points back. Remember, they finished in 2nd place in Bermuda. They are the defending champions overall. As France has now moved into the lead ahead of New Zealand, the USA has dropped back to 3rd here on leg 3 of 6.
Flight controller Morvan, he's off his flight control position, up on the grinding pedestal then. It's all about sharing your jobs. It's a bit like one of those bands you'd see in the middle of town, Todd, where there's a guy with a drum on his back, a cymbal on his head, and he's playing the flute.
It's the epitome of multitasking on the open seas, and France right now is doing a great job as the USA has now overtaken them just barely, with Great Britain moving ahead as France has found just almost a dead spot, Freddie, on course.
We're getting to ley line.
There we go, that's McMillan talking about where they are on the course. What you have with McMillan and Billy Besson is 2 traditional catamaran sailors, so they're not necessarily out-and-out foiling legends, but these guys have been sailing on 2 hulls their whole life, and I wonder in this light stuff, that pays off.
Tight moment here, the Kiwis, they've dropped back, and it's Jimmy Spithill on screen there and his USA crew. He's kept it simple the whole way round this course. That was Rome Kirby asking for him to change the rudder setting there.
I don't have anyone on starboard, I can't see.
Rome Kirby, he's pilot, grinder, tactician today. He's really earning his paycheck. The thing that the Americans have done on this course is they've done very, very few manoeuvres. Very, very few manoeuvres. Every time you turn the boat, you slow down. These guys have been going boundary to boundary, been hooking up with nice pressure, and that's why they've got about a 100-metre lead.
We have Australia retired from the race here, which is a real disappointment for Slingsby and his crew. And there, the USA, Jimmy Spithill, well, he crashed out in Bermuda. Great to see him back at the front of the fleet, straight off the bat, Todd.
Happy to go past.
Listening on board with United States SailGP. So already talking about what they're going to do at the top end. Then they'll make their way back down to the course for leg number 4, guys. Then it's another upwind leg. We'll see if the USA can hold on to this. The speeds are not super impressive, Freddie, but the Americans are out in front.
Look at the speed drop in the maneuver there, Todd. That was very interesting. They went in at 42 kilometers an hour, didn't have a brilliant tack, and it dropped into the 20s. And the Kiwis, who hadn't done a maneuver, just shut that 100-meter lead down to nothing.
Very interesting to see there. The Americans seem to tack on that yellow line, which would suggest they're laying the mark. But a bad wind shift means they're not quite making the gate. You can either sail fast or you can sail a shorter distance. It's all about progressing up the course quickly to make it to the gate, and just squeezing round is Spittle. Wow, he's milked everything out of that. He's made it round, but he's off the foils. Can he take off?
23, wait for it, 24, 25.
Magic number here is 30 kilometers an hour.
That's the voice of Paul Campbell-James, the wing trimmer, talking about the speed and counting Jimmy and Rome into the perfect speed to take off. As they pop the boat, they reduce the wetted surface area, and the speed rockets and then extend their lead down the course as the Kiwis come into second, and there's a great battle for third.
Good. Happy on that angle. Little lighter this way.
Second place there, Sarah Fagus and the Kiwi crew. Third, Besson. And squeezing around the mark, it's Phil Robertson. He has the right of way to go in there. Goodison must keep clear on the British boat. It is tight. Oh, he's so slow, and once again, Outridge splits the course. Back to 6th from 2nd, though, for the Japanese.
Do you think Outridge is a little bit worried, heading back to that patch of breeze where he went from 2nd to pretty much last on the first downwind?
I think he'd have to be a little bit worried, but I'd trust myself. He's got a gold medal from London Olympics, a silver medal in Rio. He's renowned in this light winds. But right now, Jimmy Spittle and his US crew, we're hearing so many comms, it's just great.
That's a great shot of Rome Kirby there. He's the pilot on board who flies both boards, and that's a really tough thing to do in the high-speed
Look
jibes.
at the top of screen, Freddie. That was a terrible jibe. You heard them say, pop the wing, pop the wing. No one popped the wing. You have to change the side the wing's set up to keep the wind flowing around it. They lost that. They lost speed. They've fallen off the foils, and it's now a chance for Japan and Nathan Outridge. They've jibed. He's coming back already on the foils. There goes Morishima. He's working hard to pull that wing sail in for Chris Draper.
And then we'll work it down. Okay, everything for depth now.
That's Nathan Outridge, everything for depth. He's just talking to Draper where he wants to sail the boat.
So there you see the speeds. The USA still in front. New Zealand sitting in 2nd, and France has moved into 3rd, but keep your eye on the bottom right screen of the corner with Japan. They have a way, and Nathan Outridge certainly has a way of coming from behind. We've seen it time and time again.
This is a great drag race. They've both got one jibe to do, so not only is it a sprint as the Kiwis set up, we're going to have a Simo jibe. Who is the best at jibing these boats between the USA and the Kiwis? When Spitthill's talking about soft, he's talking about the wind. He's saying there's not much wind out of here, and they've done a very nice job in that light wind.
Well, they have, Freddie, but have they definitely made a ley line? Rome was saying we need to be wide, we need to be safe here. You've got to minimise manoeuvres. Let's see if he's making it.
Straight in right.
See the dirty air coming off the big wing of the USA, who has maintained that first. Remember just moments ago, Japan was in 5th, now in 3rd.
If he can make the mark here, Todd, Japan could take the lead. This is a big moment. Who hits that yellow circle first will lead the race at gate 4. Outridge, judgment incredible.
Outridge owns it. Outridge owns it for me.
No, not again, as they come close together like they did in Bermuda, and this time the USA bears away.
Straight into a JK manoeuvre there. That's round the mark, into attack. The hardest manoeuvre in the book from Outridge, but he's come from 6th to 1st on this downwind leg.
Stop it, what a filthy manoeuvre by Outridge. He was really squeezing down into that mark a little bit slow, and then spun it into a foiling tack as well. Really impressive boat handling for 3 guys.
Already up on the foils on the Japanese, but here we go. Here's Spittle. He needs to get the boat up on the foils, get his composure, get back in the race. This is the final upwind leg. There's only a few more manoeuvres left in this race. Any mistake now could be crucial.
Let's push those runners when you can.
That's fantastic comms from Rem Kirby. CJ was encouraging to grind the wind sheet on. He goes, I'm going, boys. You just keep your elbows out. Basically, make this boat as wide as possible.
Here we are, we're on board here, Japan. Nathan Outridge, gold medalist in the 49er class. World champion, Chris Draper, a world champion in the 49er class.
To protect the line, as you were saying.
And that's Outridge talking to Draper about protecting. He knows he's in the lead, he's defending, he's making his elbows wide, as Freddie Carr described it. He's talking about the mode. Chris, pull the wing in nice and tight for me, keep me sailing close to the wind. Chris Draper there talking about the relatives to the American boat. We're on the back of the Japanese boat here. That's what they can see. 100 metres ahead is what that lane shows there, and there's probably about 3 minutes of this race left. 2 tacks that will define the race.
So it'll be up to the top of the course, then that right-hand turn, and it'll be into the finish line. It's amazing what Nathan Outridge and Japan Sail GP have been able to do. They've gone from almost dead last to first place, being patient.
It's really funny, Todd. We heard before this that 4 of the crews like sailing with 3, 4 of them didn't. USA and Japan were both on the list of people that like sailing with just 3 on the boat. And these Japanese sailors, Morishima, Draper, Outridge, they're the lightest crew. Lightweight in light winds, that's got to be a good thing, Fred.
It's got to help in these situations here where it's a little bit sticky and you're trying to get the boat going.
Spithill tacking there, that's control for Japan. I'm surprised Spittill's gone there. I thought the attack was to go past. Sarafagis, he could have the attack now. Who can accelerate the boat quickest? Remember, 30 kilometers an hour to foil, guys.
And this is a huge tack for the Kiwis.
I'm going to talk about the bottom speed in the tacks there. The bottom speed of the Japanese tack was about 8 kilometers an hour lower than the USA. The USA tacked underneath them, held their speed better, and that's why they popped out in front. Can they get the squeeze on around the bow of the Japanese?
Freddie, look, the Americans are already on the foils. Outridge will know that. The pressure is on Outridge. And he's going to struggle to get on the foils with the USA there. Big pressure moment. Here, Draper's anxiety.
And it's stacked up one further with the Kiwis on the outside rack. This Kiwis in first, and although they might be a little bit further back out of shot, they're actually the controlling boat. They're going to control when we tack into the final sprint to the finish. Neck and neck and neck.
Yep. Let's just not come out too deep. Okay.
Who would you rather be, Stevie?
I think all the controls with Sarafagis, but I definitely would not want to be Japan. He's the meat in the sandwich here, and I think it's about Spithill. Can he find space? Execute attack, he's fast, 45 kilometers an hour for a foiling tack. I don't think he can make that, but he's going to come back at these 2 boats real quick. I think Spittill's going to take this.
He really built the speed up there. Outridge called for the Kiwis to go. Spithill is gunning into them. He's going to take the transoms and wind to the line. Kiwis tack, Japanese tack. There's not enough room there, surely.
Japan must watch out for USA here. USA can turn him up to the wind. Spitill's the only boat on the foil. Here he goes. Can he roll over the top of the Kiwis?
And Jimmy Spithill has gone from 3rd back into 1st place as he squeezes in between Japan and New Zealand. What a move by Spithill.
That speed build into his tack, staying on the foil, keeping it ripping. Wow.
Oh, and Japan on the foils now, but it's too little too late for Outridge. This is Spittill's race. He's got a simple reach to the finish. The question is, can the Kiwi crew, Sarafagis, can he get on the foils and defend against the Japanese? It's going to be hard. He's in the disturbed wind of the USA, but let's watch Jimmy Spithill take it across the finish.
So race number 1 of the first Italian Sail Grand Prix goes the way of the United States Sail GP team and Jimmy Spithill. What a performance by Nathan Outridge as Japan Sail GP gets past New Zealand for 2nd place. Those points will be huge. And for Arno Sarafagis, welcome to Sail GP as he claims a 3rd in race number 1.
That was unbelievable, that last little sprint up, and the Kiwis. Fantastic from them. For Sarafagis in his first race in Sail GP, I doff my hat, sir.
Well, he's a real light wind specialist. I thought more from Billy Besson and the French crew, to be honest. They're coming across the line here in 5th. And the defending champions, the winners from the first event in Bermuda. Great Britain SailGP team, Paul Goodison, bit of a baptism of fire for him there. Light winds very hard in these boats, but he's going to need to step things up as the day goes on.
What a race in light wind, but very excited as it came down to the end. I guess the big question I have, guys, before they got to that sixth leg in the fifth gate, and Team USA was going so far out, it looked like, where are they going? They're going farther distance. They're going to cut it.
Yeah, they were building speed and building speed. They knew it was going to be all about the tack, and it wasn't a foiling tack. But again, I come back to my bottom speed in the maneuvers. Their bottom speed was 30 kilometers an hour. When the Japanese and the Kiwis tacked, they'd have been down in the high teens, low 20s. And that's why we saw him thread the needle. Off he goes. Race win.
Great race win, and the Danish crew here following back in 7th place. They'll be disappointed there. A little bit of comms on board from Tom Johnson saying he fell off the foil. That's what can cost you.
And they had a penalty off the line, didn't they, where they had to get put behind the Spanish, and the umpires just kept chucking it at them until they're at the back of the fleet, and that's where they finished, apart from the Australians who had to pull out.
So with Australia having to abandon in the midst of race number 1, they are the big losers on the day for race 1, finishing in 8th place, just with Denmark coming in 7th. Spain will finish up. And what a performance, though, for the USA, Japan, and New Zealand out in front. Spain finishing up in 4th place ahead of France and Great Britain. So it'll be a small respite here to get the shore crews on board, take on some fluids, check all the sources and see what they can do. The big question will be how fast they can get Australia back up and running. There it is. It is official. The USA gets the win in race number 1. Japan 2nd. New Zealand 3rd with Arnaud Sarafagis. Spain, France, Great Britain, Denmark, and Australia, as we said, did not finish. So there'll be a lot of work to be done on that boat in a short amount of time to see if they can get back up and running for race number 2 of 3. But what a performance on the line. Jimmy Spithill really took some calculated chances, trust his boys, and they got it done at the very end. And right now we go on board United States Sail GP with the CEO and helmsman, Jimmy Spithill. Jimmy, what a great way to start the weekend. What were you seeing out there, especially on that 5th leg?
Yeah, well, it was a great race for the guys. Sailing these boats 3 up is a lot of physical work for the other 2, especially Rome there. So, yeah, it was pretty tough conditions. I mean, snakes and ladders, and especially down the bottom of the course, it's very, very tricky, very light.
And talk about that last tack, Jimmy. That really was the difference in the race when you were going neck and neck with Japan and New Zealand.
Yeah, I mean, that was Rome's called attack there, and that was the race-winning move. So, yeah, full credit to Rome.
Jimmy, thanks for your time. Good luck to you the rest of the day on races 2 and 3.
It doesn't matter where you live. You can live on the coast, you can live in the middle of a continent. But your life is absolutely dependent on the work of other species. The problem is that we have been abusing our natural world so much that nature cannot keep up with us. We are destroying our only home. We are unplugging our life support system for short-term gain. But the world is moving, and there is huge momentum. There is no going back.
We have a real opportunity to change attitudes and to help actually to create solutions. We really felt that there was an opportunity to help promote the acceleration to clean energy and champion a cleaner world powered by nature.
At SailGP, we're climate positive, which means you have more impact on the world than your footprint. We race for the future for our kids, for our families, for the cities we all live in and race at, and for our oceans.
I have hope because I have seen the ability of the ocean to recover, to bounce back, if we just give it space. The sailing community have a huge role to play because sports have the ability to reach more people than anything else on the planet. we all depend on each other's behavior. There is no me alone anymore. The best way for people to understand what we're doing to the planet is to see it. And the best way for people to act is to fall in love again with nature. So sailors, please take as many people as possible into the ocean. Take people with you. That's one of the longest term contributions that you can make.
What a beautiful start to the day here on race 1 here in the municipality of Taranto for the parade, for the fans that turned out as the Italian Air Force put on a show with all the dignitaries that came out to welcome the first Italian Sail Grand Prix here at the host city of Taranto, which lies about 500 kilometers south of Rome and about 300 kilometers southeast of Naples. But a perfect setting as all the local dignitaries and officials welcomed SailGP. So a beautiful flyover from the Italian Air Force here in Taranto as we get ready for race number 2. It'll be tough to follow a show like that, but Jimmy Spithill and United States SailGP will do their best. So the pre-start has begun. We are coming up on 90 seconds to go on the second race of 3 scheduled today. Freddie Carr and Stevie Morrison, that was an exciting race. Wasn't high speed like we saw in Bermuda, but very exciting. As Jimmy said, that final tack was the game winner.
It was great sailing for me. It was super tactical, and it really, really is a test of multitasking. These 3 aft sailors, the back 3 in the cockpit, I mean, they are learning in every maneuver. This is only that they had 1 practice day sailing like this. First time they've raced like this. I saw the Australians up and ripping there with a minute to go, so they must have got their pump problem solved. So that's good news. We should have 8 boats on the start line for race 2.
I think absolutely essential for Slingsby at this stage, and with just a minute to go, we can see the boats already entering the start box. It's absolutely crucial this stage of the race.
And before we get to the second race, let's check in with Ali with an update on Australia's boat.
Yeah, Australia had hydraulic problems. They were actually leaking oil. There's a whole technical team of engineers and technicians, so like a pit lane crew in Formula One. They can fix most problems with it on a boat out on the water in the matter of minutes. So we have 8 boats starting on race 2.
Here we go, and they're late into the start, Tom Slingsby, but he's in a nice position now. It's Denmark. Once again, they were over early last time, but they have good control. I'm watching Outridge at the top of the line, right near Slingsby. Good chance to shut Slingsby out, and he's coming in with 12 seconds on the foil. I think this is great timing from Japan, but there's 5 boats on the start line. The Kiwis in the middle of the line, Sarah Faggis, but it's Outridge. Has he timed it right at the top of the line? Waiting for the gun. Gun there. Penalty Denmark over the line early. They must drop back again. Penalty New Zealand over the line early. Sorry, my mistake there. It's Kiwis must drop back here. Goodison out the middle of the line, and it's all about the speed here now. Nathan Outridge, great timing. Fastest angle to mark number 1. Control lies with the Japanese.
This is interesting. On board the Japanese boat, they took Bruni, their flight controller, off and have kept their Morishima, their grinder, on. Their pilot came off, their grinder stayed on. Look how active he was on that wing sheet, and they are smoking down this first reach.
It's Chris Draper, we can hear there. He'll be the one using all that power from Morishima to trim the wing sail really quickly.
And then once we're set, we'll look at anybody come away. Nice puff when we go. 1, coming away hard.
There's Draper there, nice puff to bear away, and Freddie, you've got to imagine a lot of these teams will look to go straight, and leading at Mark 1, Japan, 2nd place for Great Britain. Race 1 winner, Jimmy Spithill in 3rd. Tom Slingsby, great to see the Australian crew back in the race, and first to jibe away in 4th.
So Slingsby takes a page out of the chapter of Nathan Outridge. This is what Nathan Outridge did, remember, in race number 1. He went away from the rest of the fleet, and this time Outridge goes to the softer side of the course. Guys, you think that was a smart maneuver?
I do think that's a smart move. He's learned from race 1, standing by. Outridge takes the wing sheet. He's now controlling the wing, flying the boat and driving as they turn down into the jibe. Here we go, he says. Here's the boat turning. And lands, looks like a foiling jibe with a pop of the wing. And again, my rake. Outridge doing it all on the Japanese by the sound of it.
Nice jibe there, and the Australians, they found space, but have they found more wind? Outridge lost a lot here in the last race. It's not looking good to me at the moment on the Australian boat. We can see them nearly falling off the foils there as Outridge decides to do another manoeuvre. He's chasing the wind on the other side of the course of the Australians. He doesn't like what the Australians have done. And here, Great Britain, Paul Goodison, Jimmy Spithill, he's going to have to give room to the British, but they're both split in the course. Look, that's a long, long way to sail, Freddie. They're keeping it simple, but that's a lot of meters to throw away.
They really, I mean, the Brits would have had a hard turn to split gates with the Americans there, so they chose to follow them round. If they'd done a jibe round up there, they could have possibly lost the Danish and the Kiwis as well.
Phil, looking at the angles they're sailing, like the wind is shifted left. You can find more wind and sail faster, or you can find better angle and sail a shorter distance. Outridge is renowned for finding that wind or that shorter distance. We're going to have to see how this decision plays out.
And just like in race number 1, Australia finds himself in dead last. We'll have to find out if they're having continual hydraulic problems. But it is Japan in first, USA second, and Spain now sitting in fourth, just getting passed by Great Britain.
I don't see anybody. Okay, I've got them. They're both on port still.
Outridge there. Chris Draper trying to help him know where's the other boats. It's key you know where your opposition are, Fred.
Well, they didn't know where their opposition were in Bermuda when they crashed straight into the Americans, so maybe they've worked on their onboard comms talking about the other boats.
Here we go, Great Britain now into the tack there. Paul Goodison, good pressure on the way out. That means we found good wind.
I think we're H1, we're quite slow right now. Yeah, agree. Stand by.
Okay, that's comms from Tommy Johnson trying to get Sehested to speed up. Yeah, Parkinson, flight controller, out to be a grinder, back to be a flight controller.
The takeoff is all on the pilots, isn't it? As Parkinson drops back into his cockpit, he goes down onto his HMI, his human-machine interface, and he starts driving that foil. Then he's talking to Ian Jensen just behind him about the speed they have on board.
I'll give you a good bet. You see at the top of the screen there, Japan. I give you a good bet Nathan Outridge is flying this boat, Freddie. He's got a lot of experience, and by having a grinder, it means Chris Draper can trim that wing a little bit more accurately than a lot of the others. Here we go. One more tack. Outridge steering, flying, and doing the wing.
It's called a foiling tack.
No, something's wrong. The side there. Okay, they've got 2 hulls. Trouble with trying to push for a foiling tack is you can end up with a very bad tack. 2 hulls in the water, bad tack for Japan.
Got a healthy lead though, 130 meters. And you were right, Stevie, he was flying the boat. On top of his steering wheel, he has a little black twist grip that can control the foil that flies the boat, and he was definitely actively controlling that foil.
Big movers right now with Spain getting ready to overtake the United States into second place as Japan still has the lead coming up on gate number 3. This is leg 3 of 6, so the halfway point. We'll see if Jimmy Spithill has some magic working with Rome Kirby if they can pull off another win. Remember, the winners of race number 1, Japan took second, New Zealand third.
Well, it's neck and neck here as they come into gate 3 with the right of way. It's Phil Robertson in Spain. Jimmy Spittill's going to have to dip behind him if it's tight. But here we go. In the lead, still, it's Nathan Outridge. Lost a few meters.
Stay low, yeah. Just go straight, go fast, go fast.
Okay, Phil Robertson going straight. Jimmy Spithill saying he's going to go behind.
Settle, early jibe.
That's the voice of Rome Kirby. Settle. I think that's a key word for today, Todd. Settle. Be calm. There's not a lot of wind. Let's not waste it.
See Rome Kirby working out of one pod, grinding the one in front of him and not in his normal position.
Todd, I tell you, he's doing 3 jobs out there at the moment. He's flying the boat when he's not grinding, and he's doing tactics. Getting light, feels there's less wind, into the flight control now.
And let's remind the folks at home that are watching this, there's normally 5 crew members on board, but because of the light wind, they decided to lose some of the weight, so that's losing 2 crew members. That means you pick the 3 best guys. Of course, Jimmy Spithill's going to be on there, and he has to make the decision who to take with him.
Well, there's 3 best guys, or is it about weight, Freddie? I don't know what you'd go with. I think weight would be crucial for me, and I don't think you could ever lose a wing trimmer and a helmsman.
We're looking at the heads-to-heads here between the Japan and the USA, and really impressively in this light air, Rome Kirby has kept the American boat flying out of the water the whole time. We saw that 1 touchdown by the Japanese on that last tack, and that's why they're down at 94%, but they're still leading the race coming into the last leeward gate.
We're comfy to do right.
What's really impressive, guys, is you think about what Ali Vance reported on water, that the air blowing around 15 to 18 kilometers an hour, and they're flying 45 to 50.
That's right. I mean, these boats, powered by nature, and the efficiency of these boats, this is why it's a race for the future. The technology on these boats is where sport and where our planet is going to need to go. And this is SailGP pioneering that as we race for the future.
Yeah, those batteries being charged by the sun, they're doing their job.
Go, boys. Looking upwind, yeah.
Good move by Outridge there at the bottom gate. Gate number 4 it is we've just rounded here as we set up for the final upwind. He set himself up to go around the same mark as Spittle, and I think control should be with Outridge and Japan here.
That was a lovely shot looking upwind there. And we talk often about one side is being favoured to the other. I don't see any kind of consistency in a way to go around this course. It is just puffy and patchy.
Similar move here to the last race. USA choosing to tack in tandem with Japan. He gained a lot of control from that tactical manoeuvre last time. He can perhaps control Japan's speed here. I think Japan have done a better tack. See how it pays out over the next 30 seconds, but interesting, USA choosing to lead the tack in a one-on-one situation there twice in a row, but it shows Spain is up to second at the moment.
So Japan continues to lead as Spain moves into second place. The USA has been sitting in second. They've dropped back to third. Great Britain, haven't heard much from them. They are currently sitting in fourth after a 5th place performance in the first race. And teams that really need to go, Denmark, obviously. Australia looks like they are back up and running again, and there is France coming into view.
48 is a good number. Massive game.
Nathan Outridge and Chris Draper, constant communication on board the Japanese boat there, talking about their...
Right height, Nathan, right height. Happy there? Yeah.
There you go, look, that's Draper. He's helping Nathan fly the boat with some comms. It's all about helping each other out here. There's not enough people on the boat.
He's tacking now? Yeah. I think we keep going. We're going to get wake up.
Spain look good in the background there. That's Nathan Outridge. He wants to get quite... There he goes, going all the way to ley line, trying to control gate 5, and he's calling Spain in second place. Gain for Robertson, and the young Trittle on the wing. Trittle and Spain look like they're flying at the moment.
So will it come down to one final tack like it did in race number 1, which favored the USA? What can Jimmy Spithill do as they approach gate number 5? Then it's the right turn to the finish line.
That's right, Spain and Great Britain. There's more wind on that side of the course where Spittl's going.
Up, Diego, right.
And the Spanish have tacked back out there to go and get another chunk of it, Stevie. It looks like they really like the top left.
Well, these guys can read the water. They can't see the wind itself, but they can see what the wind's doing to the water, and they obviously love that outrage at the moment. Normally the master, he's lost out. Here comes Paul Goodison on Great Britain, and it's Phil Robertson now in control.
And they look low on starboard. This doesn't look like pressure. This looks a little bit like shift as well here, and it's rotated the boats round to the left, and that's why the boats have come in.
Let's watch these tacks. These tacks are crucial. We're on board the Spanish comms-wise there. That was Phil Robertson calling the turn. Laurie and Trittle on the wing. Bottin on the flight control. Could be about to happen to Japan again. He's not going to lose it on the final run to the finish again, is he, Nathan Outridge?
Look at the speeds. Look at the speeds. The Japanese, look at the speed drop in the tack. Much better tack than the last race.
And here comes Spain. This will be the final leg as they race through gate number 5.
It's tight with Great Britain. Great Britain have the right of way. Surely a protest coming in from Great Britain as he spins the boat. But no, round the outside it's Outridge, round the outside it's Robertson. But it's too little too late from the Spanish, surely, as we blast to the finish here. Morishima, Draper and Outridge flying that boat as hard as they can.
And the Americans are going to miss out on this one. They went far to the top of the course, couldn't find the wind. And race number 2 will go the way of Nathan Outridge and Japan's SailGP as they claim the victory just ahead of Spain. What a performance by Phil Robertson and his crew as they take second.
Great comeback by Paul Goodison for third place there, Freddie Carr. You called a big wind shift. I think you were right. He sniffed out a good angle, shortened the distance, and sailed round Spittle. Spittle back to fourth. That's going to hurt.
Just felt the breeze slightly rotated on that last upwind. It wasn't about pressure, it was about the wind rotating around the axis. And I really liked how Goodison went for the kill at the very last windward mark. Didn't quite get it. We heard them say protest, protest, but the umpire said no.
So Hested back in fifth, and it's very interesting that you can find more wind and go faster, or you say the wind rotates. Just means Paul Goodison sailed a shorter distance up that last upwind leg.
sail the shorter distance.
Good to see Tom Slingsby able to bring the boat in this time. Remember, they did not finish the first race, so they do pick up some points here, finishing in 6th place with France and New Zealand. The drag race on now. Who's going to finish at the back of the fleet here in race number 2? Is here comes Arno Sarafagis and Billy Besson.
You're too aggressive, huh?
Apologies for the language there. The pressure on as we come into this finish. The French just staying ahead of Sarafagis, but 7th place finish for the French crew after a podium in Bermuda. Well, the pressure's coming back on this crew, and it's starting to show.
Guys, you look at New Zealand, though, they come in 8th place on this one. They were 3rd on the first race.
They were like 10 centimeters off getting the perfect start out the middle of the line. They just pulled the trigger too early. They got the penalty, and they had to get put to the back of the fleet.
So once again, race number 2 goes the way of Japan Sail GP, and Nathan Outteridge coming off a first finish in race number 1, finishing in 2nd place. So on points, they are clear ahead of everyone else with a 2nd and a 1st. USA is 1st and a 4th. So the points now, everyone's starting to do a little math in their head, because you want to finish in the top 3 after the first 5 races so you can go into the podium race. Japan gets the points. They now sit on 15. Jimmy Spithill and USA sitting in 2nd with 13, and Phil Robertson moving up into 3rd with 12 points. Great Britain, New Zealand, and France still with some work to do, and a tough day for Tom Slingsby here on day number 1 of 2. They now sit just on 4 points as the defending champions of SailGP. Now going on board Japan Sail GP and their CEO and helmsman Nathan Outteridge. Nathan, you're making it look easy, and it all starts from the beginning. You guys seem to just be able to read this course so well in these light breezes with just 3 crew members. How are you able to get it done?
Oh, Todd, hey, thanks. Yeah, well, I guess you didn't see that first race. We made a few mistakes in that one, but that second one there was well sailed, and as you say, really hard with 3 people on board. A lot of multitasking happening today, and a great job from Chris and Timmy picking the wind and executing some maneuvers. We had one really bad tack in that one, which we'll have to review, but very happy with how the day's going so far.
And I've got to ask you, talk about multitasking. Nathan, are you flying the boat at times as well as everything else that you're doing?
Yeah, I'm flying the boat pretty much the whole time except for the maneuvers. It's we've opted for Timmy to be the grinder on board, so Chris has got good control of the wing. Because it's so shifty out here, it's really important to have control over the wing sail, which means that I've got to fly the boat. So that's going back a few years since I've done that, but drawing on a bit of old experience at the moment.
All right, Nathan, thanks for your time. We will see you in race number 3 as you guys sit on top of the leaderboard ahead of the USA as it stands right now. Well, the fans are being treated to some great racing so far. Light breezes hovering right around 15 kilometers an hour, but the fans, they don't care. They are stoked to be here, stoked to be watching the very best sailors in the world. taken. Beautiful day in Taranto as we welcome you to the Italy Sail Grand Prix. First time SailGP has been to Italy. As we take a look at the leaderboard, it is Japan out in front, the USA and Spain, Great Britain and New Zealand, the top 5. But remember, everyone wants to be in the top 3 going into that final race.
Chance to look back at that race here in the start. Also crucial, look at Japan. Nathan Outridge, he looks like a long way back, but he's up and foiling at top speed. He turns up there a little early, but perfectly on the B of the bang. The line goes white, it's clear, and Japan takes the lead, and that was the defining moment for them in the race. Here we go, popping onto the foils as he crosses the line, and there's Morishima on the grinders. But it was tight the whole way through the race, and this cross was only a matter of meters in it, but Outridge got round, and that was enough to get him to the finish in first place. Good race for the Spanish crew.
Okay, stand by, board drop. Board going down, jet coming out.
Well, good crowds on hand to welcome SailGP to southern Italy, leaving a very minor carbon footprint as it is the race for the future. SailGP really bringing the best sailors in the world with the fastest boats. And they've got one of their own to cheer for. Francesco Bruni on board as the Italians who love sailing, love all things water, and why wouldn't you, with the Mediterranean in your backyard. And Francesco Bruni has returned home to Italy to be greeted by his fellow countrymen and women.
Bellissima sensazione quella di essere qui a Taranto con il team giapponese, finalmente una regata nelle acque italiane, nelle acque di casa. Yeah! Sono veramente contento di poter essere qui. Sarà una bellissima regata e Taranto ci regalerà sicuramente un bello spettacolo. Sarebbe bellissimo vincere l'evento qui, sarà un po' difficile vincere a Taranto, ma l'importante è vincere alla fine della stagione. Credo che avere un evento così importante in Italia sarà molto bello anche per i giovani, ci seguiranno in molti, sarà sicuramente di ispirazione per tantissimi velisti giovani italiani. In Italia abbiamo un clima fantastico, è uno sport che può veramente cambiare il futuro dell'Italia. Sono sicuro che potrebbe portare tantissimi appassionati, un indotto importante per l'economia italiana. I tifosi italiani sono sempre super appassionati, urlano, gridano e vogliono i propri eroi che vincano, quindi è importante soddisfarli.
And as we've seen Taranto really embracing this event, we've seen all the crowds on the shore, but there are more spectator boats out on the water than at any event in the history of SailGP anywhere in the world. Over 900 are out there lining the racing area. Now the winds, they've slightly built during the afternoon. We're around about now 17, 18, pushing 19 kilometers an hour. That's still light those for these light for these F50s, and we've seen during racing dropping off the foils is crucifying for the teams. Now the Australia boat, they had problems in the first race. The reigning champions forced to retire in that race. The boat is fully repaired again, so we will have a full fleet of 8 F50s for this final race of the afternoon, Todd.
All right, thank you very much, Ali, as we go now down to nearly 2:45 to go for the third and final race here at the Italy Sail Grand Prix. And right now, it is Japan in control of the leaderboard as they have a second and a first, followed by the USA and Spain. Remember, you want to be in the top 3 tomorrow for the final race, the podium race, and that's where you really can rack up the points.
Well, it's all about getting to that podium race, Todd, isn't it? I'm surprised how much you got out of Nathan Outridge. You did a great job in that interview, Todd, but the fact he gave away how he's flying the boat, Freddie, a lot for the other crews to think about. Everyone else has taken off both the grinders. Japan, the only crew to have left the wing trimmer, the driver, and a grinder.
Yeah, power to the handles, Stevie, power to the handles. There's about 700 to 1 ton of wing sheet load going into these 24-metre wings, and You can see there's no one spinning the handles on board the Australian boat. The way you can get around that is you can actively move the wing shape with hydraulics. So you can either change the power in your wing by moving the wing sheet on the winch, traditional sailing, and that's your throttle, versus the twist on the wing, and that's what the wing trimmer's doing with his other hand. So there's two ways of skinning the cat, and this is very much the old school way, let's say, with the grinder moving the wing sheet on and off.
You see the right hand of Nathan Outridge right there, talking about that grip that Freddie was mentioning. So we'll see if Japan can get another victory here. Guys, you talk about teams that really need a win. It's got to be on Australia. Australia's got to get a win, don't you think, in this third and final race?
I think after a breakdown in race 1, average race 2, and we've seen Slingsby's been sailing great, but also a lot of pressure on that man, Paul Goodison.
Yep. Hey, but let's not forget, like the Brits were in Bermuda last time, you can be 6th overnight and win the regatta.
Look there, penalty on Australia. Outside the boundary, he's going to need to start behind. Unforced error from Slingsby. Wow, he's making today hard for himself at the moment. Might be the motivation Tom Slingsby needs, though, as we come in with 50 seconds to go until the start. And the Danish, here they are, tacking in. That's the tack for boundary. It was a messy tack. Look, the boat leaps up out of the water. With 40 seconds to go, this is not a good position to be in for the Danish rock wall crew.
It feels like they'd be very far out the back of the shot there as we jump on board with the Japanese. They must be middle of the line. French are diving in front. French look early.
Well, you don't want the USA so close below you if you're Nathan Outridge, and here we go. Up, cruising in is the Great British crew. Tom Slingsby trying to get up on the foils here with 17 seconds to go. It's all about the timing as we come in. Can you get on the foils? Spithill, he's found a gap. He shoots in underneath the French as he drives towards the start line. 7 seconds, Outridge. Well, we knew he'd be on the foils. He was, but in the middle of the line, it looks like Spithill's timed this beautifully. Look at the speed on the USA boat. He's going to break the line first. Can he roll over the Kiwis as we head towards Mark 1? Jimmy Spithill, wow. What a start that was by the American.
He was double speed, wasn't he, when the gun went there? Absolutely lovely time on distance. Got Rome Kirby in the front cockpit, Campbell James holding the wing sheet, and the French drop in just behind them in 4th place. Japanese are top of the stack, coming down in 6th.
So the USA traveling at nearly 60 kilometers an hour in just 20 kilometers of wind. France sitting in 2nd, Japan in 3rd, and then New Zealand in 4th. Underway here, leg 1 of 6, the 3rd and final race of the day on day 1 at the Italian Sail Grand Prix.
Nice rounding there. Interesting that Rome Kirby was up in the grinder position. There's Morishima for Japan. Sarafagis steering the New Zealand boat round in 4th. He started well today, Sarafagis, his first day in SailGP. And Phil Robertson, uncharacteristically poor start at the back of the fleet in 6th. All boats now look like they're trying to keep it simple, Fred. Long and straight after Mark 1.
Yeah, interestingly, unlike the first 2 races, there were no early jibers. They're all heading out to this boundary. They're talking about standing by, so the boundary's coming close as Campbell James goes, passes his wing sheet. Rome Kirby drops down to fly both boards. Spithill turns the boat. Still in the lead, the Americans. Let's see if they touch the water here, or if it's a full foiling jibe with 3 people.
Look at that. Look at that.
That's multitasking right there. What a job by the USA crew. Keep it simple right. I love that.
Well, we'll be bringing you a lot of onboard footage, as right now we do not have our signal from the helicopter, so you're not getting that sky view, so you'll get a up-close and personal look from water's edge.
Crucial moment as they approach gate 2 here. Keeping it simple, that's what Rome Kirby called for, that's what Jimmy Spithill's done. Lovely rounding, boat up on the foil, not an inch of water over it, and Billy Besson, he needs this. Back in the race, doing a nice job.
I love the comms off board, the Americans there. Campbell James saying that was epic. How much does that kid love sailing?
How could you not, though, Freddie? These are the best boats in the world, and they're racing in spectacular venues like here in Taranto. We're racing for the future, and we're trying to set an example for sport globally with SailGP. What an opportunity for these sailors. Rome Kirby, well, that man, he deserves a pay rise for me because he's doing all the jobs on the boat today.
Setting up for the tack, the board goes down. They are tacking on the right-hand side of the boundary as they're going upwind. Can they stick a foiling tack with 3 people? That would be a skill. I'm going to give them that, I think.
Yep.
I'm happy with you giving us a great tack by the USA crew. Ominously in the right-hand side of the picture there, Nathan Outridge in Japan, showing us 100 metres behind at the moment, but that's nothing in these conditions with just three crew, Freddie.
So to paint the picture, we've got the USA and France who are out on the right-hand side of the upwind, and we've got the Japanese and the Spanish who are coming from the left-hand side. At the moment, it looks like the boats coming from the right. The Americans and the French are just crossing the boats from the left, but if it's like the last race course, it's not about what side of the course you go to. You've very much got to sail in the puff and the shift that is present at that time.
Can't see the rest of the fleet.
Hands ducking there.
That's Rome Kirby. He's so vocal on the boat today. He was the driver on this boat last year, moved to flight control, really stepping up in the tactician's role today, and what a job he is doing for Jimmy Spittle and Paul Campbell-James. They seem to be in the right place at the right time.
I find it very interesting that all the sailors are tethered into the boat for safety reasons, for obvious reasons, and Rome Kirby, unlike the Japanese boat here, has got to lean forwards to grind because his tether won't let him get to the pedestal, whereas when we're on board with the Japanese, Morishima really quite comfortable when moving it a lot.
Here we go, replay of tight cross for Japan there. He must dip behind the French crew. The French coming from the right of the screen have the right of way. Outridge, keeping it simple, dipping it behind.
So we're coming up to the top of the first upwind now. They'd have potentially done their last tack in to the windward mark. French cross behind in second still, so those two boats are glued together. The Japanese and the Spanish are glued together as they're bouncing upwind.
Campbell-James saying, I think it just looks like top left of screen, 15 kilometres an hour. We had 18 kilometres an hour halfway up this leg. 3 kilometres an hour in wind speed can make about 7 or 8 kilometres an hour difference in boat speed. Wind speed is massive to these guys, and Campbell-James says it looks light at the moment. That's not great news, but that camera angle looks pretty good to me.
Just got Spain to leeward, and then the Brits after that.
First round, gate 3 toward the USA. What a rounding. They're really sailing this boat so well. A little bit more wind on the course makes the boat look a bit easier. Outridge looks to be splitting the course. He turns left. He talked about one and in left turn at the bottom. Everyone trying to minimise manoeuvres.
And there you see the lead the USA has over Japan. In second place, it's 18 seconds. France, 26 seconds back. So this is the largest lead we've seen in the 3 races today, as the USA has raced literally out to the lead, trying to get a 3rd win here in race number 3, as they got the win in race number 1, and of course finished in 4th in race number 2. But this would give them a huge amount of points going into Sunday and those 2 races with the fleet, and then possibly making it to that podium race.
Good pressure out here.
Rome Kirby there talking about happy to go straight in right. Earlier we heard Outridge talking about one and in left, so we can anticipate a split at the bottom. Who will have found the wind out of this next mark could be absolutely crucial. Look at the speed on the Japanese as they jibe.
Go straight in, go to the left side, down the pressure. I think we can go a little fast because it's only going to head, CJ. Copy that.
Spittle confident of making it to the next gate, sending the boat fast. Looks like a comfortable lead still for the American crew at the moment, and it will all be about has Outridge judged this ley line right to keep it tight.
Just keep an eye on boundary out of it, Jimmy.
That boundary comes quickly when they turn that way. Some really nice on-board comms there between the 3 of them talking about the plan for the next upwind. The boundary comes quickly for the Americans this way. They've got to be looking to set up pretty quickly.
Okay, 15. Setting up. Stand by. Yep.
Campbell-James said 15. That's 15 seconds to boundary. You do not want to sail out the race course. You get a penalty. Boards on the lock.
There we go. Lovely tap.
Keep pressing. Yours.
Rome Kirby saying press a little, CJ. That's when Campbell-James, the wing trimmer, is driving on the exit of the tack. Rome Kirby saying press. That means bring the bow to the right-hand side of the screen, power up the sails, power up the wing sail and get foiling.
Here we go, Paré. French for get ready. They're setting up there. Lee McMillan crosses, and they've made a good move in this move, French. They're on this final upwind leg now. Nice tack for the French. Can they stay on the foils? Well, we don't know. We'll find out later when we see how they're doing with Japan. But right now, USA, Jimmy Spithill, I think the only issue he's got is himself. If they can keep it simple now, they should have no problems.
Bringing you lots of coverage from water level as we've lost the signal from the helicopter. The USA continues to lead. France now sitting in second place ahead of Japan and Spain. But Freddie, I gotta say, I am so impressed the way that Rome Kirby and Jimmy Spithill and Campbell James are keeping this boat out of the water and foiling throughout this race with the winds dipping down to as low as 15 kilometers an hour.
And I completely agree, Todd. They're learning on the job, and they're learning on the job so well. We can't see it from the helicopter because of technical issues, but look at that lead. It's 200 meters. If we were looking from the helicopter, that would be 2 white rungs on the ladder. But look how close it is between Japan, Spain, New Zealand. That is a battle for the last podium spot. The French look fairly set in second place.
Fairly set, but I imagine most of these teams have got 2 more manoeuvres to do before the final gate, Freddie, and that what attack that was. Look at that air scene underneath the boat. Yeah, buddy, that is how you do it, Paul Campbell James.
Oh, he's peacocking today, isn't he? His
full of
tail feather
confidence.
is up.
To be fair, I think they probably deserve that. Rome Kirby's putting them in the right spot, and Jimmy and Paul are doing a fantastic job back there.
So the Americans more than 150 meters ahead of everyone else as Rome Kirby continues to look around to spot the rest of the fleet. It's France and Japan, 2 and 3. Then Spain trying to reel themselves back in. New Zealand, Great Britain, Denmark, and of course Australia still having their issues more than 500 meters behind the Americans here.
Should be one more tack for the US crew. Let's watch them. They're setting up. Let's try and enjoy this last tack. Give us a good one, boys.
3, 2, 1, lock. A bit of pressure out of it.
Oh, it's skimming. Oh, I think we can probably give it to him. I don't know if I am after the one before, but that was pretty good under the pressure of the commentator's curse.
Call that a contest make.
Looks like we're easy cross. Campbell James cooling there. Turning down to the finish here now for Jimmy Spithill and his USA crew. Just now chance to bring it home. Look at that, 16 kilometers an hour of wind. They're doing 50 kilometers an hour as they come into the finish here or close to it. The power of the wind, amazing.
I got you. I'm here if you need it.
And with 19 kilometers of wind, the USA has run away from this one as France has moved into second place, Japan in third, but no one's going to catch the stars and stripes here on race number 3 as Jimmy Spithill, the man known as the Pitbull, comes back and claims the third race. What a performance by him and his crew. So for the Americans, it's a first, a fourth, and a first. That is a great start to this 2-day event.
Spanish crew up to 4th there. Phil Robertson doing a good job at Besson. He needed a big result in this race 3. And he got it up to 2nd. But look at that. We talked about Great Britain and Australia needing a good race. They haven't got it. I think Outridge is not going to be over the moon about that. He was up there early on in the race. He dropped back a bit, but still a very good day.
Well, he had a good first 2 races in Bermuda and followed it up with a 5th in the 3rd race, lost momentum. I think that's a great day for Nathan and those boys, all on the top in the top 3.
Yeah, Nathan Outridge gets the full set of the podium, a second, a first, and a third.
Penalty GBR relative Denmark, penalty GBR relative Denmark, not entitled to room at the mark.
Oh, Goodison there trying to force it in at the finish line. That's costly. That drops him from 6th back to 7th. Denmark sneaking past him at that final turning mark. It's been a tough day for the new British driver there. Penalty clear with that big manoeuvre for the British crew now. They have to spin it up to the finish line, but out the back, well, who'd have thought that? 1st and 2nd in Bermuda, 7th and 8th at the end of race 3 here in Taranto. Doesn't take long for a lot to change, Freddie.
Not at all. Not at all, but like we said, we know you can be in 6th place overnight and win the regatta, but they've got to reset pretty hard, the Australian boys.
Tough to see the defending champions, Australia Sail GP and Tom Slingby, have a very difficult day today.
I tell you what, chaps, that's a first in sailing, isn't it? to see 3 people sail a 50-foot yacht out of the air, foiling. It's stadium race course. I've never seen light air sailing like that. That was amazing.
That was absolutely spectacular, Freddie, I agree. And kudos to the crews there on board the boats, working it out so quickly. They've had no real practice time at that. It's just been a lot of theory and conjecture. And wow, it was a great performance they gave us.
Well, with the light winds forecasted and everyone came out, the 3-man crew, the adjustment was made, and it looked like Jimmy Spithill and his crew, as you guys mentioned, there were 4 crews that were in favor of sailing with 3, and there were 4 that were against it. Jimmy Spithill was certainly in favor.
Well, and I think we'll look at the results. I can tell you I heard was in favour of it. Spain, Japan, USA and France. Let's have a look at the leaderboard.
All right, let's take a look at the leaderboard as they've been updated now, with the USA now in first place with a tie with Japan. Remember, they were in second place, so they're equal on 21 points. Spain now sitting in third, and then the gap back to France, Great Britain, New Zealand, Denmark, and poor Australia sitting as the defending champion, sitting on just 5 points with 3 races of 6 complete. A lot of work to do overnight. We'll come back tomorrow. There'll be 2 races, and then, of course, the podium race. Take you on board now with United States SailGP CEO and helmsman Jimmy Spithill. Jimmy, that was a tremendous race. You guys were near perfect on all your maneuvers, staying out of the water. The wind was building just a little bit, but what do you give credit to on that last race and the performance of your crew?
Yeah, it really was crew work. I mean, when you're sailing 3 up, you've got all the jobs of 5 crew members that go essentially to 2 guys, because the helmsman really doesn't do a whole lot. So full credit to CJ and Rome, and just trying to stay clean and get away from the pack behind us.
Jimmy, as you get ready for tomorrow, obviously the forecast is for some possibly more wind building. Would you enjoy bringing 2 more crew members on, or do you like the way things are going with just the 3 of you?
Well, I know Rome would be really keen to bring 2 more on board.
Hey, we'll let you guys debrief and take a look at that. Congratulations on the 2 wins out of 3 today, and we'll see you tomorrow.
Well, it was great to see this pre-start. Even in this light wind with just 3 crew, we saw how hard to control the boats are. 40 seconds to go, and the Danish leaping out of the water. Stop the boat, 40 seconds to go, that is no good. Because as we come into the line here, you can see it's all about being up on the foils when the gun goes, and it was Jimmy Spithill in the US boat there. He came charging beneath the French crew, and he hit the line. Look at the speed he has as he crossed the line there. Bang, there's the gun. Perfect start from the fleet this time, which was great to see, but it was Jimmy Spithill. I mean, he's nearly doing double speed there. Fantastic work from the American crew at the gun. Here we go, a nice moment on the board the Japanese boat. We can see in this race Nathan Outridge, he had to dip around boats. As soon as you're dipping crew, you're losing distance. Found himself a little bit in the pack, and for Japan it made it a tough day, but what a performance in that race it was for Jimmy Spithill, Rome Kirby and Paul Campbell-James. That boat stayed dry for an incredible amount of the race, and that was some performance by those 3 crew members. Big day out for Rome Kirby, but I think he deserves a lot of kudos today, because tactician, grinder and flight controller sounds like a busy day to me. And the US boat, well, it flew proud, and they're going to be very happy. Big crash in Bermuda, back with a bang here in Taranto.
Right, let's analyse that race, and let's have a look at the overall summary of the race. We've got average speed, distance sailed, flight time and manoeuvres. The standout obviously is there from the Americans, the average speed. That little click higher than everyone. It's easy to sail faster when they're in front, but they did a really, really nice job of that. The distance around the race course was pretty split up amongst the fleet, to be honest. Everyone averaging just over 8 kilometres, but you can see the flight time there. Let's dive onto our flight time analysis. You can see the flight time there. That's how well they're flying the boat. And you can see the flight time as you go lower down in the fleet, the numbers start dropping. Unfortunately for the Australians, down at 82%. You don't want to be there. The higher you fly the boat, the faster it goes. You can see 71 centimetres by the Americans. That's really nice. Foil stability is how well you fly the boat to target. Lovely job by the Americans.
Well, a beautiful day comes to a conclusion. Race day number 1, 3 races in the book, and at the end of those 3 races, we have a tie, 21 points even for the USA and Japan. We'll see how they shoot it out tomorrow. We got to remind everyone that sustainability is at the forefront of everything that SailGP does, and they have just been magnificent here in Taranto, the way they've been able to work around the programs here. But guys, everything that's happened here in Toronto, from the Inspire program, from the inclusivity, from the sustainability, it has been a magical job.
I think it's a fantastic job with what we do with SailGP, and the Inspire program, without doubt, is one of the great features of SailGP.
I completely agree. The Inspire program is the youth sailing program that runs underneath SailGP.
And that extends far beyond the F50s on the water. Delivering cutting-edge sport in a climate-positive way requires massive innovation, and SailGP is harnessing the power of the Oracle Cloud to unlock the benefits of operating remotely. Moving all broadcasting, umpiring, and race management operations remotely means a huge reduction in the amount of people and equipment that has to be moved around the world, cutting out thousands of tons of carbon emissions.
In Ealing, we partner with Timeline. We have a dedicated line that goes all the way back to London.
The technology is absolutely amazing. It's quite mind-blowing to be able to sort of watch from where we are. We see everything.
We want to be different. We want to be as efficient as possible with the tools that we have. Remote production would be the most ideal, or the future-proofing SailGP for the next 10 years. Our goal is to make technology innovation to make a better sport.
Making a better sport indeed. The race for the future and sustainability at the forefront of everything that SailGP does. Now we are talking about the Inspire program. Freddie and Stevie and the Inspire has been just amazing here in Taranto.
I love the youth sailing program, the Inspire program that works underneath SailGP and inspires the next generation to use the power of nature to go sailing. And it's not just about the sailing, it's about teaching people, teaching the kids about the STEM technology and the learning underneath that. STEM technology being science, technology, engineering and maths. And man, I wish that I had that kind of thing in my schooling to get me excited about sport and get me into that side of things. And the Inspire program aims to have 10,000 participants between now in season 2 and season 5. That is unbelievable. It's 50-50 boys and girls, and it also is going to make sure that race and socio-economic background has absolutely no barrier to getting young kids out sailing and out racing.
Well, the Australia crew first back to the dock here. They'll be having a big team debrief. The defending champions in 8th position as attention turns now to Sunday's racing. Let's have a look at the forecast tomorrow. It's going to be another balmy 30 degrees here on the Mediterranean. Clear skies though. Winds predicted to be a bit stronger tomorrow than we saw today. Southerly winds should build throughout the afternoon. Strong sea breeze, which we usually experience so strongly during the week here in Taranto. And they're forecasting winds of 20 kilometres an hour, but some strong gusts expected around the hottest part of the day. The decision on how many crew will be on tomorrow's racing will be made closer to the racing, but we do know that in all winds, these 50 certainly deliver on drama and excitement, and tomorrow the 8 international teams continue to battle it out to be crowned the inaugural Italy Sail GP champions.
Very much, Ali. As we try to explain to you and bring you up to speed, you can go ahead and put away your abacus, because right now we're going to tell you exactly how the points work and how you walk away with a win here in Taranto. SailGP is the most competitive form of sailing, with the world's most talented athletes going head-to-head for the richest prize in the sport, $1.8 million US. But to get a shot at the prize, the 8 teams must compete in the 9 events around the globe. Each Sail Grand Prix runs across 2 days, with 3 races on each day. Event points are awarded based on finishing positions for each race, and the last race of each event is known as the final podium race, where only the top 3 teams can enter. This super intense race defines the finishing order of the event, and championship points are awarded based on the final rankings. 10 points are awarded to the event winner, down to just 3 for the lowest performing team. Championship points add up across the season, culminating with the top 3 teams going head-to-head in a single winner-takes-all grand final race in San Francisco. $1.8 million is on the line and can be won or lost by the smallest of margins.
The Japanese are coming to this. Get ready to zone first. Isaac, very, very close there.
Well, this Spanish crew, they're young and they're without doubt the ones to watch. I feel they just missed the podium in Bermuda, but today they're in 3rd place. They've got an invaluable place in that podium final at the moment. Florian Trittel there, wing trimmer from Spain, hottest property in Spanish Olympic sailing. That could be the Olympic sailing team to watch when we get to Japan this summer. And Diego Botín on the flight controller there, another huge young talent. This is really the team to watch.
And the team I'm keeping my eye on is the Danish. They didn't do great in Bermuda, and unfortunately for them, they haven't done great today, but they're making all the right moves off the water. They've got a very solid training program. They use 32-foot training boats to get better. They've also spent time in the simulator, sailing in virtual reality, trying to sort these maneuvers out that they're doing now. And they've made a keen signing. It's not a signing of a sailor, it's the signing of a coach. They've got 2-time Olympic gold medalist Ian Percy on board. And when you've got a guy like that sitting in your rib, not only explaining how to sail the boats, but set the tone within the team, I can only see the Danish moving up the leaderboard.
So we'll take a deep breath and bring you up to speed on what has happened today. After 3 races, this is where it stands. The USA and Japan even on points with 21. Spain sitting in that 3rd and final transfer position. And then it's Billy Basson, Great Britain, New Zealand, Denmark, and Australia at the bottom of the leaderboard with 9 and 5 points respectively. 2 more races to go tomorrow before we get to that podium race. So an opportunity to be able to move up as we see the schedule there. So on behalf of Stevie Morrison, Freddie Carr, and Allie Vance, I am Todd Harris saying so long for now from Taranto. What a move by Spithill.
It's tight with Great Britain. Great Britain have the right of way.
Race number 2 will go the way of Nathan Outeridge.